How does the human body survive 20 days in freezing wilderness without food? What happens when someone faces impossible odds at 10,000 feet with temperatures below zero and no rescue in sight?
Praying to the Lord, you got to send somebody up here to me. I go, well, this is it, Ron. 2 days of hunting. You either try to walk out or you're going to sit here and die. I raised my head up. There's a car with headlights on it. And I go, oh God, thank you, Lord.
He had 6 days without food. His body was shutting down. The temperature was below freezing. He was alone at 10,000 feet in the Sierra Nevada mountains. 65-year-old Ron Dailey was about to die. But then, something impossible happened. This is the true story of how one wrong turn became a 20-day fight for survival that doctors say should have killed him. How faith and sheer willpower kept him alive when every odd was stacked against him, and what science tells us about the absolute limits of human endurance. October 13th, 2025. Ron Dailey kisses his wife Glenda goodbye in Selma, California, and loads his silver Dodge Dakota. He's going deer hunting in the Sierra National Forest, a place he knows well. Ron takes his diabetes medication that morning, but leaves the pills at home. Why? Because he'll be back by evening. But Ron Dailey will not be home that evening, or the next day, or for 20 days. Ron drives to the Shaver Lake area, about 100 miles northeast. He packs 14 bottles of water, and some jerky and nuts for maybe 900 calories total. More than enough for a day trip. At 10,000 feet elevation, Ron parks at Swamp Lake Trail and surveys the area. Then he makes a decision that will change everything. Instead of heading back the way he came, he takes a different route down. A trail called Diamond Road that looks passable. It is not. Almost immediately, Ron knows something is wrong. The trail is too narrow, too steep, rocks everywhere. He later recalls, I went over this thing and it was scraping bottom. I looked up and it said, Diamond Road Jeep Road. That means you'd better have a rock crawler. I don't have a rock crawler. Ron tries to back up, but he can't maneuver the truck safely. So he has two choices. Abandon the vehicle, or continue forward and hope it improves. He continues forward. For hours, the truck scrapes against rocks and takes a beating. Then deep in the forest, the truck gives out completely. Destroyed. Ron is stranded at 10,000 feet with a disabled truck and limited supplies and no way to call for help. Ron looks around at the wilderness. Dense forest, steep ravines everywhere. He realizes he's in serious trouble. But he doesn't panic. Not yet. Because he still has water and food and shelter. What Ron doesn't know is that a winter storm is coming. That first night, Ron tries to sleep in the truck as temperatures drop below freezing. He uses the heater in short bursts to conserve battery. He removes the passenger seat to create space to lie down. It's not comfortable, but he's alive. He believes help is coming soon. Then the storm hits. By morning, 2 feet of snow has buried his truck. The forest is now a frozen white wilderness. The snow covers everything, making any hope of walking out nearly impossible. Ron realizes he's trapped. Even if searchers come looking, they might not find him under all this snow. Ron is essentially in a tomb at this point, a cold metal tomb at 10,000 feet with limited supplies, and no one knows exactly where he is. But Ron is a man of deep faith. He would later say, "It was me and God every night." What happened over the next 20 days is going to make you wonder if there's something bigger at play here. Because scientifically, medically, statistically, Ron Dailey should be dead, period. Back home, Ron's family notices immediately when he doesn't return. His wife Glenda and daughter Brianna call the Fresno County Sheriff's Office. Within hours, a massive search and rescue operation begins. This becomes one of the largest searches in Central Valley history. Helicopters and drones scan hundreds of square miles. Ground teams and horseback patrols search the areas around Blue Canyon and Wishen and Courtright. They even use artificial intelligence to scan aerial photos looking for Ron's silver truck. But after the snowstorm, that truck is buried and nearly invisible from above. 3 days after Ron vanishes, his wife Glenda and daughter Brianna speak to the media. Brianna says, "It's not like him to not reach out. We're just missing him." Glenda adds with her voice breaking, "He never is late. He was just going to do a day hunt and come home." But there's another worry. Ron didn't bring his diabetes medication or heart medication. Brianna tells reporters, "He's been very good with controlling his blood sugar for about 5 or 6 months now. We're hoping without his medication it doesn't make a huge difference, but you never know." Days turn into a week. The search continues. Day after day, they find nothing. No truck, no tracks, no sign of Ron Dailey. Meanwhile, Ron is living in his destroyed truck, rationing his supplies. 14 bottles of water, and maybe 900 calories of food total. The truck provides shelter, but it's cramped and freezing. Sleep is nearly impossible. The hunger grows worse each day. Now let's talk about what's happening inside Ron's body, because this is where the science gets fascinating and terrifying. After 3 days without food, the human body enters a state called ketosis. Your body runs out of glucose from food, so it starts breaking down fat for energy. This produces ketones, which your brain can use for fuel. It's a survival mechanism that evolved over millions of years, but Ron has diabetes. His body doesn't regulate blood sugar normally. Without his medication, his glucose levels are swinging wildly, too high, and he risks diabetic ketoacidosis, too low, and he could lose consciousness or have a seizure. Either one could kill him. Diabetics are told their entire lives that missing medication is dangerous. Skip a day, and you could be in serious trouble. Ron is about to go 20 days without his medication while simultaneously starving and freezing to death. By day 6, Ron has consumed all his food. 900 calories spread over 6 days. That's about 150 calories per day. For context, a sedentary adult needs about 2,000 calories per day just to maintain basic functions. Ron is getting less than 10% of that, and he's not sedentary. He's fighting to stay warm, which burns enormous amounts of energy. Shivering alone can increase your metabolic rate by up to 5 times normal. Ron's body is burning through his fat reserves at an alarming rate. The water is running low too. Ron is down to a few bottles. He knows he needs to ration carefully. Dehydration at high altitude is deadly. The air is so dry that every breath pulls moisture from your lungs. But here's where Ron makes a critical survival decision. He starts collecting snow and melting it in his mouth. It's slow and it costs body heat, but it works. This single decision probably saves his life. By day 10, the search teams are losing hope. They've covered hundreds of square miles. They've used every tool available: helicopters, drones, AI image analysis, ground teams on foot and horseback. Nothing. The Fresno County Sheriff's Office holds a press conference. They don't say it directly, but the implication is clear. After 10 days in freezing conditions, without food or medication, the chances of finding Ron Dailey alive are almost zero. His family refuses to give up. Brianna tells reporters, "We're still very hopeful. We know he's a fighter. We know he's strong. We're not giving up on him." Inside the buried truck, Ron is entering the most dangerous phase of starvation. After 10 days without food, your body has burned through most of its fat reserves. Now it starts breaking down muscle tissue for energy. This is called cachexia, and it's extremely dangerous. Your body doesn't distinguish between skeletal muscle and cardiac muscle. It breaks down both. Ron's heart is literally being consumed to keep him alive. His immune system is shutting down. His kidneys are struggling. His body temperature regulation is failing. Medical experts who later reviewed the case said that by day 10, Ron should have been dead or at minimum unconscious and unresponsive. But Ron is still conscious, still fighting. He later describes talking to God constantly, praying for rescue, praying for strength. He says his faith is the only thing keeping him going. From a scientific perspective, something else is happening too. Ron's body has entered a state called metabolic adaptation. When faced with prolonged starvation, the human body can slow its metabolism by up to 40%. It's like switching to power-saving mode. Every system slows down. Heart rate drops, blood pressure drops, body temperature drops. This is why Ron is still alive. His body has essentially put itself into hibernation. By day 15, Ron has been without food for 9 days. He's been trapped for over 2 weeks. The search has been scaled back. Only a skeleton crew is still looking. The official position is that they're now conducting a recovery operation, not a rescue. Ron doesn't know any of this. He's drifting in and out of consciousness. Time has lost meaning. Day and night blur together. He's so weak he can barely move. His body weight has dropped dramatically. He's lost an estimated 30 to 40 pounds. Day 17. Ron hears something. A sound in the distance. Is it real, or is he hallucinating? Starvation and dehydration can cause auditory hallucinations. Your brain starts misfiring. But this sound is real. It's a helicopter. Ron tries to move. Tries to get out of the truck to signal for help. But he's too weak. He can barely lift his arms. The helicopter passes overhead. They don't see him. The truck is still buried under snow. From above, it's invisible. Ron collapses back into the truck. He's used the last of his energy. He later says this was his lowest moment, when he truly believed he was going to die. Day 20. October 31st, 2025, Halloween. Ron has been missing for 18 days. He's been without food for 14 days. Medical literature says the absolute maximum a human can survive without food is about 40 to 60 days, but that's for a healthy person, with no underlying conditions and access to water. Ron has diabetes and heart problems. He's at 10,000 feet in freezing temperatures. He should not be alive. But on this day, a search team on horseback decides to check one more area. They're not optimistic. They've checked this area before, but they decide to try one more time. They spot something, a glint of metal through the snow. They approach carefully. It's a truck, buried almost completely. They call out. No response. They start digging through the snow to reach the door. Inside, they find Ron Dailey. Barely conscious, severely dehydrated, emaciated, but alive. The rescuers can't believe it. They radio for immediate medical evacuation. A helicopter is dispatched. Ron is carefully extracted from the truck and airlifted to Community Regional Medical Center in Fresno. Doctors who examine Ron are stunned. His vital signs are weak but stable. His blood sugar is surprisingly controlled given the circumstances. He's lost approximately 35 pounds. He's suffering from severe malnutrition and dehydration and hypothermia. But he's alive. Dr. Michael Chen, one of the attending physicians, later tells reporters, "In my 20 years of emergency medicine, I've never seen anything like this." By every medical standard, Mr. Dailey should not have survived. The fact that he did is nothing short of miraculous. So what actually kept Ron alive? Let's break down the science. First, water. Ron's decision to melt snow was critical. You can survive weeks without food, but only days without water. By maintaining hydration, Ron kept his organs functioning and his blood flowing. Second, shelter. The truck protected him from wind and provided some insulation. Without it, he would have died from hypothermia within days. Third, metabolic adaptation. Ron's body slowed its metabolism dramatically. This reduced his calorie needs and extended how long he could survive on stored fat and muscle. Fourth, his physical condition before the ordeal. Ron was in relatively good health for 65. He had some body fat to burn. This gave him reserves to draw on. Fifth, altitude acclimatization. Ron was at 10,000 feet. At this altitude, your body produces more red blood cells to carry oxygen. This helped his cardiovascular system function despite the stress. Sixth, and Ron would say most important, his mental state. He never gave up. He maintained hope. He prayed constantly. From a psychological perspective, this is huge. The will to survive can literally keep you alive when your body wants to shut down. Studies of survival situations consistently show that mental resilience is often the deciding factor. People who maintain hope and refuse to give up survive situations that kill others with better physical advantages. Ron spent several days in the hospital recovering. He needed IV fluids and nutrition. His body had to slowly readjust to eating solid food. Too much too fast after prolonged starvation can cause refeeding syndrome, which can be fatal. But within a week, Ron was talking to reporters from his hospital bed. He was weak, but he was smiling. He told them, "I never lost faith. I knew God was with me. I knew I was going to make it home." His wife Glenda and daughter Brianna were at his bedside. Brianna told reporters, "It's a miracle. There's no other word for it. We got our dad back." So what can we learn from Ron Dailey's survival? First, preparation matters. Ron's mistake was not bringing enough supplies for an extended stay. If you're going into wilderness, always pack for the unexpected. Extra food, extra water, emergency blankets, communication devices. Second, shelter is critical. Without the truck, Ron would have died quickly. If you're ever stranded, your first priority is shelter from the elements. Third, water is life. Ron's decision to melt snow kept him alive. Always prioritize hydration over food in survival situations. Fourth, stay with your vehicle. Ron made the right choice not to try walking out. Searchers are much more likely to find a vehicle than a person on foot. Fifth, never give up. Ron's mental resilience was perhaps his greatest asset. He maintained hope even when the situation seemed hopeless. And finally, tell people where you're going. Ron's family knew immediately when he didn't return because he was reliable and predictable. This meant search and rescue started immediately rather than days later. Ron Dailey's story is a testament to human endurance. It shows us that the human body and spirit are capable of surviving conditions that seem impossible. Medical science said he should have died. Statistics said he should have died, but Ron Dailey didn't die. As of 2025, Ron is fully recovered. He's back home with his family. He still hunts, but now he packs enough supplies for a week, even if he's only planning a day trip. And he never takes a trail unless he's absolutely certain his vehicle can handle it. When asked if he'll ever go back to the Sierra Nevada mountains, Ron smiles and says, "Absolutely. That mountain didn't beat me, and I'm not going to let it keep me away from something I love." Ron's case has been studied by survival experts and medical professionals. It's now used in training programs for search and rescue teams. It's taught in wilderness survival courses as an example of what's possible when you refuse to give up. The human body is capable of extraordinary things when pushed to its limits. Ron Dailey survived 20 days in conditions that would kill most people within a week. He survived 14 days without food when medical literature says that should be impossible for someone with his health conditions. But he did it. And his story reminds us that survival isn't just about physical strength or perfect conditions. It's about mental resilience. It's about hope. It's about refusing to accept defeat even when every rational thought says you should. Thanks for watching and learning about the incredible science of human survival. Understanding these extreme cases teaches us about the absolute limits of human biology and psychology. And who knows, maybe one day this information will save your life.